All right. After many months, a month of not recording, finally, and I'm pleased to have a dear friend, Mr. Bonie.
Yeah. Hey, it's good. It's an honor to be here in the podcast. Eh?
Yeah.
Finally.
Yes. I mean, it
After
was.
so long.
Yeah, it was been something that has been in the pipelines. We talked about it, and I mean, one of the things that I just wanted us to get into. So Bonnie and I, we have known each other since our varsity first year. Your first year, right? I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Your first year, yes.
Your second.
Second year, yes.
I'm not sure if it was the second year or third year. You had modules carrying back.
No, it was actually my second year. Second year, yes. And then I mean, it was actually quite nice back in the days, and at the time we were still in SEO and Hillsong. At the time, we were just loving Jesus. And I don't think no, you were the one who was in love with Jesus, not me.
This guy.
Yeah, so I was going to church though, but I was just not born again. Yeah, I was not born again.
Because I think we met at
UWC, yes, UWC.
But I think I met you before you became my roommate or after you became my roommate.
Yeah, that was before, yes.
Before, no?
Yes, but I just moved in. Remember when we moved in with Mbesuma? Yes, and then Mbesuma got, I think,
You had to move.
yes,
I was in the wrong room, actually.
you were staying with Mbesuma, right?
I was staying with Ricardo.
Ricardo.
I was staying
Oh,
with Ricardo, then Ricardo had to go on the second semester.
yeah.
Then Besuma came in, then he was in the wrong room.
Wrong room, yes.
He had to go out, and then you came in into Besuma's place.
Nice. And then, I mean, destiny, in a sense, put us together.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then from there onwards, we basically just grew together.
Rest is history.
It's history.
It's just been up and up. Eh?
Yeah, definitely. And I think maybe just to start, because the podcast is more for professionals, so maybe we can just get into your professional life, and maybe actually I could just start with the scholar side of things. I remember right now, before we started recording, we were talking about experience versus qualifications. So I think it's something that you actually were passionate about was to further your school. What informed that in terms of wanting to further your school and doing your masters and all the other stuff?
Well, it's always interesting. I would say, mostly given the opportunity to have good grades. I always feel like they're the smart one. I always want to continue.
Sure.
But I think there's always been my passion to say, not even a passion, it has always been a thing to say, I want to have something greater than not everybody can achieve,
Sure.
I don't just want to be like anyone else who just holds a diploma or something else. I want to go further. And definitely the more higher you go, the colder it becomes. So it becomes even more difficult. And when you're growing up, there's more challenges and this and that. But I think education has been something that my dad has really installed in me to say that's actually the key to whatever you want. So it has always been, I have to be educated. It doesn't matter what comes. Come rain, come thunder. I have to be educated. If you don't, then there's no life outside of it, which sometimes is a bit dangerous, I won't lie. Especially now after some years, you can actually notice to say maybe I missed out on a lot of stuff, but education has been very crucial, and I think it has been very important, and it's played a huge role in my knowledge, in my experience, and in my understanding of how I view things, rather than any other ordinary person on the road.
Nice. And then in terms of because I mean we stayed together for a dress, I think probably north of 2 years, if not 3. And one thing that I admired about you is, I think when I was staying with you, I noticed that you were a hard worker, right? And there were things that you used to do as a student, which at the time, because when you get to varsity, there are different people, different ethics, and different way of doing things. So I was more of like a chilled guy, and then I think you, in terms of performance wise, the one thing that I actually liked about you was the hard work. There was this thing where you'd leave in the like 9 o'clock, come back at like 4 o'clock, and you have to go to class in the morning. Where is that coming from? Was it something that you had to tell yourself when you got to campus, or something that you did maybe, or maybe somewhere you got a coaching somewhere?
Not really. I think that came unconsciously, I would say, but maybe just to track backwards, it happened 2010. 2010, when I was in grade 10, went to a boarding school.
Sure.
So, when you're in a boarding school, you went in a different town. It was definitely a different town than where I grew up. So
sure.
I used to travel a lot. So I decided to go to boarding school. When I chilled there was this guy, man, called Ahoy. His nickname, his name was... his real name was who? Sharks. Have you forgot his real name? I think his real name was Jimangas.
Yeah.
Jimangas. So that guy was actually... When I went there, he was just an ordinary guy, right?
Sure.
Then I was in grade 10, he was in grade 11. Just an ordinary guy. Getting normal grades like anybody else would get. Normal average, 60, 75. Then all of a sudden, this guy starts getting hundreds every single time. Every single subject is getting hundreds. So he started with maths getting 100, English getting 100, physical science getting 100, EGD is getting 100. I'm like, hey, this guy, what's happening? So now, every time at boarding, at 5 o'clock, we'll go eat supper. Then after 5 o'clock, they wait till 7, and 7 until 9, I think, if I'm not mistaken. You had to go study. It was a force. Everybody had to go to school study.
Sure.
Then after 9, you can go to sleep and do whatever you want. So guess what? Whenever we study with this guy will be studying. At 9 o'clock, everybody goes back to their rooms and sleep. This guy would remain. He would remain up until like 2 or 3. So I was like, no, man, I think maybe let me also try and copy what this guy is doing.
Sure.
To remain till late. So obviously, when you remain, you will still be playing maybe until 12. Then you want to study after that.
Study, yeah.
But then I think that itself, when I started doing that, I also started developing discipline, and I noticed my grades were going up and up. Right? Then I was like, okay, cool. So this is actually a good strategy.
It works.
Yeah,
sure.
Definitely worked. So when I went to grade 12, he was already in first year now. He got 100 in maths, English, and everything. It's grade 12 months, so they were very good. So now there were a bunch of us who were actually following in that road. And we were in grade 12, so we had to prove ourselves.
Sure.
And the school I went to was very competitive in terms of grades, because you were
even provincially and all.
Provincial, no?
Sure.
You had Miri, you had technical, you had Liba, you had what's his name? What's the school again? I forgot. Queva. So not even Queva. I forgot the name of the school. So it was quite a very intensive academic excellence. So you had to produce good marks.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, I know I was not that really good, but it pushed me to be with those guys that would actually study hard every single time, so that at least we can get high marks. And guess what? I was getting good marks because of that. So when I came to university, it was almost a little bit easier for me to translate that, because I was used to that hard.
Already doing it, yeah.
But being honest, university was a whole different ball game.
Okay, what changed?
A whole different ball game. I think also the change of scenery, having to move from
the hostel
going to Cape Town.
Yeah.
The whole thing was different. Having to move from being cooked for, now you have to cook for yourself.
Sure.
I even cooked some powerful meals for you.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be another section where we're gonna talk about the meals we're eating.
At least you can relate. So now that was the whole thing. So now when I moved in and having to understand a lecturer who was speaking in an Afrikaans accent, having to come teach you, having a lecturer who was fully English coming teaching you, while you're used to your normal vendor lecturer or teacher, it was a bit.
You can always make it easier,
and the pace was very strong and fast.
Okay.
What I actually expected. So I think the first semester I didn't do as well as I expected. But then through that failure that I had for failing my 2 major ones in the first semester, it opened my eyes to say, wait, man, I can do better than what I'm already doing.
Okay.
I can work hard. Let me see what I can actually jungle in between it.
So which means when you got to Varsity, you applied the same principles that you're using in boarding school.
Which is 90% of what everybody does when they come to university from my research.
Sure.
So if you passed high school by chance, or because you were only studying 2 hours and 3 hours and you thought you were smart. That's what you normally do when you come to varsity.
Oh, I see.
Notice that varsity is
Shows you flames.
different beast.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So it shows it. So now, the inability of adapting after seeing that is what makes most people fail in varsity. And remember, in varsity there's a lot of pressures. No? There's first years bashes. There's this is happening. First years what, and all of those things they're trying to take your attention. And school is demanding.
Sure.
So for me, when I came, I was personally, I've never been a person of
Partying, yeah.
So I think I've been so much disciplined through my.
Talking about that, I think just to sidetrack a little bit, Bonie was someone who had a lot of energy, and at the time I think I used to drink, and I used to think that you were a drinker as well. Up until I got realized that no man, this guy is just full of energy all the time. But I think just to bring that, to say that okay, you at first value you would think this is the kind of person you are, but you were just straightforward man who loved Jesus Christ, and then we're just happy, and it's just a ball of energy for everyone.
Well, most definitely, because I think I grew up from a Christian family. My mom was a Christian. My dad still working hard to get him to cross the line. He is very slowly but surely.
Yeah.
So I think in that it held me in a good regard, because since Sunday school we used to call it children's ministry.
Sure.
It was something that I was so passionate about. I was so intrigued in loving Jesus, and I'm a person that if I'm involved in something, I fully get involved.
Sure.
So, which I think I've seen it in all of the areas of my life. So, if I commit to something, I don't look back. I don't have an exit door for it. I commit myself to
Fully to it, yeah.
Fully to it.
Sure.
I throw in everything I have. And I think it's really worked hard.
And then where's that mentality coming from? Is it something that it's just something that it just happens?
I don't know. It just happens.
It
just happens to be honest.
Yeah, I think the other thing that we're going to touch on is leadership, but we'll talk about it later. Okay. But I think just as you're speaking, saying it now, it kind of like makes sense now. Okay, why you're in the leadership roles and you excel at it, right? Definitely. So just to continue from where you were talking about that, the transition, why students when they come from high school, you're coming as all A students. The first year shows you flame.
It will definitely show you flame. Because also on that, to be honest, it's remember when you're leaving grade 12, get this, you were at the same school from grade 8, progressing in the same thing. By the time you go to grade 12 or grade 11, you're already used to the systems, already used to the people, already used to the teachers by that time. So it was easy for you to jungle.
Oh, yes, I see what you mean, yeah.
But now you're coming to university, first year, it's hard. They push hard on you, to be honest, those guys. And the curriculum itself, it's totally different. I think the only thing that I could relate was basically only 20% of what I did in high school.
Sure.
University was total different stuff. And the guys are coming hard. I only had six months. In fact, if you remove January and June, you only had like 4 months.
4 months,
to do everything, the whole book, the whole curriculum.
And that's 6 subjects.
And that's 6 subjects, imagine. Yeah. So now you have to jungle in between everything. So it was a bit difficult for me to do all of that in the same time trying to transition.
True.
You get me? So I think that's what we as the higher generation can try and educate the people who are
next gen, yeah.
It will really help them a lot, because I think it's very difficult. And likely by that time there was also church, which was not really taking much of my time, but I was also strong on that area. So
involved, yeah.
There was a lot of things happening. But like I said, after failing, I sat down, rethink my life. No, man, I can do better. Let me try and retransition and see how I can make my life better.
I want to get into the how you recalculated. Was it something that you had to sit down intentionally, or is it something that you just thought, okay, let me just change 1, 2, 3? Was there something that you did like specifically? Okay, I'm gonna sit down now. I'm gonna try to see how am I gonna excel, or how am I gonna improve in the next coming semesters?
Okay, perfect. So this is where the tricky thing is. I'm wired very differently. I don't normally sit down and think. No, I don't do that. It feels weird. What are you doing? Even my body is like, this guy, what are you doing now?
Sure.
But I'm a person that normally I think a lot when I'm in the shower most of the time.
Okay.
If I'm in the shower, I think a lot. Now I notice when I'm driving, I also think a lot.
Oh, okay.
So there's those moments when I'm just doing something that I like, especially if I'm running or I'm tired, trying to rest. That's when I think a lot about such things. So it was through that I was like, no man, I think I have to change the way I do things. Especially seeing most of my colleagues, also my roommate, failing and losing his rest.
Yes.
And I was like, no man, I think I can actually do better. What did I do wrong? You get me? And these things I'm thinking of them as I'm going. What did I do wrong? Where can I change the ways I'm doing?
So what did you find out?
Exactly. So in doing that, that's when I noticed, no man, in this subjects which I passed, what did I do right? In these ones which I failed, what did I do wrong? And notice, I failed mechanics, I won't forget, with 48. I did remarking, and that guy, I doubt he even checked my paper. He just came back and said, it's the same. And that guy is,
and you have to pay for that, eh?
Yeah, and I had to pay for that.
Sure.
And by that time, my heart was, and all of my friends, I think.
And I mean,
2 or 3 friends who was very close to by that time had passed and went ahead. And I was the only one remaining behind with some other bunch of white guys who I thought that they were smart,
they were
but
doing
they were
it.
not.
Yeah.
But then it was in that moment, it opened my eye to notice, no man, let me do things differently. And guess what? That's when I noticed, no man, first year I was trying to be too much hard on. This might be very dangerous to students, so listen with caution. No man, I'm very too much hard on doing schoolwork. I'm studying a lot. And I'm studying in the wrong times. So I had to discover myself. And guess what? I noticed I'm more effective during the night than during the day.
Okay.
You get me? So during the day, I would go to the library, which I still feel and believe everybody who studies in the library, they don't normally pass. That's just me. And
Come with your theories.
That's just me. I don't know. That's just me. I feel like library is too quiet and too serious. And you don't really. But that's just me. I might be wrong.
Okay.
But yeah, if you study, we had IT center.
Well, IT center, yes. Yeah.
Where it's just a whole community of people. You can easily get help. It's a whole friendship thing,
Sure.
But library. If you have passed in library, let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
People normally fail a lot in the library. So
Sure.
I noticed there's I have to leave.
So which means just on that part about library versus IT center, the reason why you're saying that is because the IT center, at least you can consult with someone instead of having to be stuck with one question
alone for so long.
I get what you mean.
In the IT center, there's a whole lot of people in the same class. So now you can even relate and start having a network, building relationship with those people.
Yeah, and I think there was groups of people who you would study with in the same class. Yes.
So it's easier.
Oh, I see where you're coming from. Yeah,
so
sure.
The library is just they don't allow you to speak loudly
and discuss.
Quiet. No, it's just a page of a book. That's all I know.
Sure.
So I think through that I noticed that no man, I need to study more at night than during the day.
Sure.
And also in doing that, also try and understand how things works at CPUT.
Sure.
Which was having to study the relevant materials. They give you a book. The honest truth is you won't read the whole book. You need to study stuff which are relevant, which are going to come. Which after my whole university thing, I saw it was also dangerous on its own because it was not more of trying to learn
understanding. It was cramming.
It was just a matter of cramming. At least let me get 50%.
Especially doing
60%.
Is that now where you talk about doing past question papers and all
exactly.
Because
now you just
most of the chances are gonna come back again exactly as it is.
Those guys, lecturers are quite lazy, and I got to be a privilege to also be a lecturer through my. We're quite lazy and we're just the same questions. Question 2-3 years ago, it still does the same thing. That's all that we do. So if you study past question papers, it's easier for you to pass.
Sure.
But that's also dangerous on its own. But it's good so that when you study with them, you get to understand the nature of how a question is asked. You get me? Because I remember mechanics, they were asking us about forces and everything. And guess what? In the exam, they brought a dustbin with a guy on a pole. And I'm like, yay, which one is this one?
Sure.
Because in class we were doing lines and forces.
Exactly,
now, this guy sitting on a dustbin and there's a pole and a truck. What's happening?
Yeah.
But it was still the same thing. Just brought in a different way.
Sure.
You get me? So in that's how I also failed, I believe. Because my mind was not tuned in understanding how
Sure.
questions are going to be asked.
Sure.
So that's why I also still feel it's important to use past question papers, but you need to really try and understand what you actually doing, because if you don't, it becomes a huge problem. So that for me was a real change, because I think after that I've never failed. I didn't fail my whole entire life.
No, I think you were excelling after that. Yeah.
So
I think I at the time, even though you were just behind me in terms of being admitted at school, when I moved in with you, I think I was still not doing as well. But I did what you were doing, which is the copying side, right? But mimicking, yes. So basically, is in my end, what I did was, it's basically you say that you understand yourself.
yeah.
So I understood myself that 12 o'clock I had to sleep.
Exactly.
So 12 o'clock I was the guy that I would be coming back, and then coming back, and I just did the same thing that you did, but with me it was during the day. During the day I was going to the IT center, listen to music, you do question papers, pass question papers, and you push. And the moment I did that, I'm telling you, I was like a genius. People started coming to me, asking me questions. Hey, man, we are realizing that you are starting to rock the questions and everything. And I think in terms of mimicking, just to advise maybe someone who's a student now, or who feels like, okay, I feel like I'm failing so much, the best thing to do is mimic the best performer. Yeah, just ask them, okay, well, how do you get... Some of them, they actually just smart themselves, but they are already doing things which make them pass. Especially in varsity, you can't just rock then and just...
I think in varsity, that's where you notice that you really need mentors. You can't really... To be honest, you can make it without mentors, but it's going to be quite difficult for you.
Sure.
But if you have a mentorship from someone who's mentoring you, it becomes very, very easy. You can literally pass through. But...
Because they already know the lecturers, the style of the lecturer.
They know everything. So,
yes.
But the hard work still needs to come in from the other end of the person. Because to be honest, you can't really make it without hard work.
Sure.
I'm one of the person that believes hard work will always beat anyone with talent any day, any time.
Sure.
As long as you put in the hard work and the effort, you will definitely make it.
Sure.
But the hard work has to be placed in the right direction. That's what the tricky thing is.
Okay.
Because people spend a lot of time sitting in the library. You know that the funny thing, you can go sit in the library for like 8 hours and only study for 1 hour.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, you know.
True, yeah.
Especially when in the IT center, it will also be dangerous.
Yeah.
Because I noticed some of the time, you'd go there around 7 p.m. You
know,
leave
it's
IT center at 3, 4. Then only notice you only started studying at 12 or 1. The rest you were just going up, listening to YouTube, watching
DJing,
Facebook. You know, there's always those things.
Distractions,
And those distractions play a huge role. But mentally, you rob yourself to say, hey, I've been here for so long. Eh? But the truth is, you have not been studying for long.
True.
Which is, you were just in an environment where people were studying or people were doing work. And now you feel like you're doing work. It's like us when you come to work and you just come sit down. When you go home, what do you say? Hey, I was working the whole day. But the truth is, were you working?
Yeah, it was...
if you're just sitting at work,
doing
doing nothing, you're not working, you get me? And you're not improving yourself. So that's where most of the time people might get it wrong.
Sure.
You go work, and if you're still coming from first year, second year, if you didn't have the hard work from high school, you always feel like you study for 2 hours and your mind tells you you're tired and you go back and sit down, which can also be dangerous, because you need to stretch your mind to break the limits, to say, I need to do things for longer.
Sure.
Which is very important.
I think I get you, and I think for anyone who's listening, those are the see it as a mentorship type of thing there, where you say, okay, this is how when you get to varsity, employ the things that we're talking about now. Yeah. And then you're coming from a technical school. What informed you doing mechanical engineering?
Oh, really?
And in terms of the applying as well, what other things did you apply, and then what made you choose mechanical? Yeah.
Very interesting. Guess what? I didn't even want to be an engineer.
Oh, okay.
I know. Engineering was something. I didn't even know about this engineering. So I was good with sports. Primary school. Very good.
Sure.
That's why I thought maybe one day in the future I would do, but not as a career, but just something I would do for fun.
Okay.
But I wanted to be a vet.
Oh, I see.
To be a vet.
Yeah.
I loved animals so much back in the days. And there was this guy who was my dad's friend, or dad's cousin, who was a vet. And he had good money, he had good car, and he had everything. And I don't know, I looked to him and I was like, no, man, I would like to do this. It's something that I really would enjoy. And by then we were watching 50-50, you know, and everything. So this thing looks nice.
Sure, sure.
Then when I finished my grade 7, now, I had to go to
50-50 is like National Geographic.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the days.
For those.
Someone that doesn't.
Number 2000, they don't know this one. Yeah, so now when I finished primary grade 7 at Passwell, I had an option. I was in Lostrish at Mercado, right?
Sure.
I had an option to go to Mercado Comprehensive, which was just an extension of where I was, which was in Altivlas, which was not a good high school, so my dad didn't want me to go there. Or I would go to Lyre School, which they were very good with sports, which is what I wanted. But I didn't like it because it was a poor school and all the guys with the big heads, they would go there, so they always felt that they were good. Then there was Emmanuel, which was a Christian school, which is where I wanted to go. But they were also quite strict in the entries of the school.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So now, my idea was, I was pushing my dad to push me to Emmanuel. He said he did apply for some funny reason, and they rejected me. I still feel he did not at a point. I don't trust him. His plan was, because I was good with drawings, I was good with fixing stuff at home, he said, you need to go do things that has to deal with your hands. I was not good with spelling, writing. I was not good with those things from day one. So he knew that, no, this guy, I think he should do things which are hands. Because at home, I was the one fixing everything. Fixing the TVs, fixing the iron, fixing everything, you know. So like, no, this guy should do things that pertain to their hands. Stuff. Like, no, there's a technical school in Toronto.
Yeah.
So I think he should go there. So he did all the applications for me and everything. Then he came back and said, no, my man, they didn't take you at Emmanuel. So you have to go to Technical High School. And by that time, I knew nothing about the school. Nothing. Zero. I didn't even know the place. I knew the place that there was a place called Tando.
Yes.
But I didn't know much about it.
Sure.
So now when I went there...
were you traveling every day? Oh.
Yes, from grade 8, 9. I was traveling every day.
Oh, okay, sure.
So every day I would travel, but the grade 10 I went to Bonie.
Sure, okay.
So now when I got there...
And that was a long distance, right?
It was a long distance. Not really long. It was like 70 k's, 75 k's. With a bus, there was
it's not bad. Hours. It's not bad, yeah.
But the bus takes long because it goes stop.
Sure,
Our roads are not the best, so...
Yeah.
So now when I got there, I had this technical school. Now grade 8, you just do normal stuff. Grade 9, you do normal. Then we went to grade 10. So I had to choose. So it was a technical school. So I only had 4 options to choose from.
Okay.
Civil, electrical, mechanical, and CAT, which was IT. They used to call it CAT.
Oh, yes.
CAT.
I remember, yeah.
So I was like, okay, number 1, civil, everybody was going there. So it was like one of the easiest.
And everyone was... at the time, it was people were getting paid a lot of money.
Yeah, so I think he had a lot of, civil technology, which was one of the subjects that differentiated the whole thing. Had he had a lot. I think there were 2 classes just for that. So most people were going for civil. So I was like, this thing should be too simple. I don't like things just simple, so I need to get something more challenging.
Okay.
Then there was electrical. Electrical was very few.
Yeah.
There was this guy who would have the electricity. If you didn't do homework or something, he would come and shock you.
Are you serious?
Yes. So I was like, no, I'm not going to go to that. And that guy was very strict.
Sure.
So for me, not even the passion for electricity or for electrical, I was like, no, I don't want to go there. Because I knew electricity because it used to shock me when I was doing bulbs and everything. So I knew how painful that thing was. I was like, no, I don't want to be there.
I see what you mean, yeah.
Then to do CAT was a whole new level because I didn't know anything about computers. What a mouse was, how it was doing. So I felt like it's not my thing, it's not my specialty.
Sure.
So I had one choice to go to, which was mechanical. It was not too overcrowded, but not too little. And the teacher was not too strict. So that's actually how I chose my career.
It's so interesting. And I mean, at this point when you get to Varsity, do you get to a point where you felt like wanting to change, or is it something that you embraced throughout your varsity years?
Like I said, if I commit, I go for it. So when I went to, at least in our school, grade 12, they gave us some good mentorship online. So they told us to say, at least when you apply, you need to apply. So it was quite interesting because if you are in engineering, if you apply for mechanical, you can apply for electrical because they almost have the same requirements at varsity. So it's useless. So you had to apply for something else. So my dad told me to apply for agric and stuff. But I applied for mechanical, I applied for mechatronics, and I applied for agricultural something. I don't even know what that was. I forgot.
Sure.
But the way I was so confident in my marks, I knew they were going to take me.
In mechanical.
Yeah, in mechanical.
Sure.
That's how confident I was. So that was just the base. So I knew that whatever my first option is, they're going to take me.
They're gonna take you,
because
yeah.
I'm good in that. So I had no choice but to apply for that because that's what I wanted. When I go to university, very wonderful stuff. I think it was challenging because most people were crying, saying Mech-Eng is difficult.
Sure.
This is the one I want. I want the one that people are saying is difficult.
Sure.
So it was a challenge for me to say, let me do it. And on top of that, they'll tell you there's money and everything. Only when you're done, you notice that this thing was useless. But anyways. I think when I got there, I was just like, no, let me finish. I've started. Sure. Why not? Let me finish it.
I think some of these job opportunities, sometimes what's the I think there's one of the questions that we asked ourselves before this thing was, what is the question? We asked ourselves, should you go do a subject or a course because of money or not? So what is your opinion on that?
The truth is, it's not advisable to do a course for money. But the reality is, for an average black person, that is what we look up to. Because you're coming from a very poor background. You're coming from a place where you don't have much. And you look at the people who are seemingly to be saying they are making it. There are people who are called to be engineers. There are people who are called to be doctors. There are people who are called to be what? I think those are one of the most true things. Yeah. No one ever tells you that agriculture has money. But guess what? We come from a place where the soil is good. Everything is good. If you start something there and you went for school for it, you're going to make more money than what you're doing in engineering.
Sure.
No one tells you that sports, it's a career you can take. Nobody tells you that arts, it's a career you can take. Nobody tell you that fashion, textile, whatever, it's a career you can make. Because it's seemingly at home, or our parents saw that as not a career. Especially I grew up where my dad was a teacher, but he didn't want any of us to be teachers.
Teaching and nursing.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a nursing.
Yeah.
We see it as a downfall. It's not a career you can look up to. It's a career you go to if you drop from a high level. You get me? But the truth is, those are still possible career which can make a lot of money.
True.
So no one ever told us to say you can start even if they say you want to become a doctor, no one tells you that you need to open your own surgery. They say go become a doctor so you can work for somebody.
Sure.
If you're an engineer, go work for a company.
So which means in a sense, our generation, the reason why we are still behind, we could have started our own businesses, just that at the time, jobs was the things which was being pushed.
Exactly.
Which makes sense. And
which makes sense because we had to make money. That's the thing. We
Yeah.
didn't have the privilege. Like I think I was telling the other day to say, it was so bad that some of the white people, sorry to be racial, but some of the white guys that we actually went to class with, they'll tell you that they're just here so they can go and take over what their dad was doing. So they're just here to acquire knowledge for what they already have.
So the guy already has experience.
He has something already. So guess what? Me, I'm coming here. I'm still studying, so that at least after this I can go find something. I don't even know what I'm finding.
Sure.
But at least I would say I have a qualification in mechanical. So at least there's a bit of opportunity to get this, which is what has thrown South Africa to have a lot of graduates who do not have any employment.
Yeah, I think I like how we're taking this. Is it looks like this was a problem which is coming from back in the days.
Back in the day, exactly.
And it came with us. So now we are sitting with the challenge of not having jobs,
because school was just seen to be the right thing. Exactly.
And the other thing on top of that, we don't even have entrepreneurial skills.
Exactly.
So we're just educated people who don't have entrepreneurial skills, who can't even use the knowledge that we have. Because remember, even let's say if you are very good at mechanical engineering, you need to be able to go contend for a tender, do all these things just to get your work out there. And no one is actually teaching us in terms of how to actually register a company, if it's registering a company, tenders, if you want to do tenders, and all this other stuff. Yeah,
even if we just throw tenders out of the way, because the politics normally chow all of those things. They don't even help the young African youth to grow.
Sure.
But it comes to a point where even when we are studying, we are not studying with the mentality, which I think we spoke about, in the mentality to learn what we are doing. We are studying with the mentality of passing. Because we've been promised that if you get a degree, then you're going to get employment and you're going to get money. So the truth is, average black person is after money, not after the passion they have in them.
So which means if we're doing a course correction now for all the children who are probably in varsity now, or maybe the high school learners who are there, and right now, what would be the best way to change? Will you now maybe need to change the whole education system?
I think that, to be honest, we can't run away from, and I think it's something that is slowly coming in, and it should come in.
Sure.
If we try and view countries like your China, you try and view countries like your Korea, all the first world class countries, those guys, I think their education system is more based on what the children should do in the near future, rather than ours. Even here in South Africa, we do have some of those schools, but they're quite privileged. It's for people with a lot of money who has the ability to go in, but an average black child will not be able to attend to those. So definitely the educational system has to be changed in a way that it teaches stuff that are more speaking into the near future reality that we are going into, not in the past and what is not going to be efficient for us in the future of where we're going. And I think parents also have to play a huge role into having the ability to develop the child or the children to say, you need to be comfortable in doing what you like. And in doing what you like, you can make as much money as you can. You get me? Because look at the football stars. We all like football. Look at all those football guys. They started playing for your Manchester United, for Chelsea. When they were like 12, 13, kids, 14. And they go to football academy. So now their path is already cleared. They're still going to school to get the basic knowledge to write, read, and at least have an intellectual conversation with someone, so they're not dumb, right?
Sure.
But they know where they're going. So by the time they're 18, they're already on the field making money because they've worked hard on their talent when they were young, what they were passionate about. You get me? So with them, it can work when they're young. But some of us, maybe we have to come to school now, and I can say, no, man, I think I have a passion in agric. Let me go back home. I need to leave Cape Town City. There's nothing good for me here. Let me go back home, try something. I've got huge land which is just waiting for me. I can go do something, develop something. If it's my passion, I will grow it with my knowledge that I got from school, make it even better, and I can make lots of money from that. But it has to come from a heart of passion. Because if you get your rich guys like your Elon Musk, like your Bill Gates, all those guys, they didn't start what they were doing because they were like, let's just do something. They were passionate about that thing and they wanted to solve a problem. If you go now to a university, an average student who's doing their final year cannot solve a simple problem with what they've learned since first year.
Yeah, which is very sad. Which
is like a reality problem to say, because if you notice, most of the assignments they give you, they try and solve problems. But remember, like I said, they give you old assignments that they were done to.
True.
But you can't really solve problems, which is what they are scarce skills which most people don't finish or don't do their masters and PhD, because there you are trying to solve real life problems. So people are scared of that. They don't go to that extent.
Oh, I see. And then talking about the transition from varsity to work, because you see, when you get to work, you realize that. Yeah, I think some of the things that I'm doing, I did it in varsity. Some of them was like useless. What do you think in terms of transition? What are the things should be done? And in electrical engineering, what I've realized is there's things like sense code. Some sense code you can get a general sense code of electrical engineering, whether it be automation, depending on which stream, because there's different streams as well. So if there's anything, if you're doing fluids, I think you guys did fluids. And what is that? What is the other one? HVAC. What?
We did strength. We did hydraulics. We did thermodynamics.
Thermodynamics, yes. So I think those are already their sense which talk about strength. Whatever that you do, I don't know what mechanical stuff, right? But I think if we were to bring sense codes, at least someone will understand. Okay, in order to understand, because you've already chosen thermodynamics. So which means if you're going to look for a job, they'll say, okay, we are looking for people who did thermodynamics, And these are the companies that you can work for if you're doing that. Like, for example, with us, there's high voltage, low voltage, automation, and what do you call these guys for comms? The comms guys, and there's also controls. So by choosing that, you're already choosing the company that you're going to be working for. Yeah. So if you were to read the sense code, which are going to affect where you're going to be working, at least by the time you get to work, you already know all the codes that needs for you to design whatever that you're designing, depending on what thing that you're going for.
So this comes back again to the educational system that we have in
Sure.
South Africa. To say, maybe this is also a bit broad because FETs, technicons, and universities play a bit of that role in and out. But you notice that in university, which is where we went to, which is our University of Technology, they teach you a varieties of streams that you can enroll in as a mechanical engineer. That's why they do strength, that's why they do thermal, that's why they do design, that's why they do CAD, that's what they do. So they try and do a basic touch of the different streams that you can also go to, the different industries that you can actually go in. And one of the biggest problems is you don't know which stream you're going to end up in, especially if you don't have a passion for that career.
Sure.
Like us, we just went in because we were doing it was difficult and wanted a challenge. So now we just had to do everything. Now let's go look for a job. We're just trying to apply whatever, as long as there's something that is written mechanical, I will do. But at the end of the day, you notice that sidebar, all engineerings are actually almost the same. Especially now that I see it when you're working, it's almost the same. People work from civil, chemical, it's almost the same. It becomes different when you do this, when you specialize now. And it just helps you in terms of the terminologies and a bit of understanding of where you're going again. So when you leave Varsity to work, the transition is also a little bit different if you were not good in school, number one, or if you're just an average person getting 50s, and if you're just cramming to pass, it becomes a problem. Because now when you move, you don't know which industry you're going to move in. So likely I managed to go to a food and beverage industry, which even if I say food and beverage, like, what does that have to do with engineering?
Mechanical,
You get me? So there was the same thing that I had. What does that have to do with mechanical? But my industry has a lot to do with chemical, because we do with the chemicals of food, the compositions and everything and whatever it is. So I actually work with a lot of chemical engineers than mechanical engineers, because that's why. But we do have a bit of components, which we speak about valves, we speak about strength and everything. So that itself, now I understand, no, I used to do valves in design. I remember. But now I don't even know what type of valve is it or what was happening in the valve. I do strength. Okay, there's this that I did. The university just tries and open up a bit of understanding of what you can face. But when you go into the industry, it's a whole lot different. But guess what? That white guy that I went to at first year, who came from already doing something, just coming to perfect. At school, he's already good because he knows he did the work prior university.
Sure.
Whether in holidays or whatever, while I was at home playing with my grandmother at school, at home doing nothing, he was already working in the field as a young intern or helping his dad.
Sure.
He understood. When we come to university, he knows at least what they're saying.
Sure.
I can't relate because most of the people, I've never seen it.
Sure.
When they're speaking about an engine of an aircraft, can you relate in your mind? You can't.
Yeah.
You've never seen it.
Yeah.
But the guy has seen it because he knows that's where it's going. So he can even ask deeper questions than me. And when he asks deeper questions, I feel intimidated. I'm like, this guy knows too much. Now I zone out. I'm gone. You get me?
Sure.
So this guy now has this much information. So now he knows the problems they're facing there. And he understands what he has to literally get. Right?
Yeah.
Now, when we leave Varsity, I at least have an idea or ideology of what an engine looks like and what it is doing. Now when I go there, I see it, I'm like, hey, this thing looks very different. What was the spoke they were speaking about? What is a valve? How does a valve look like? What is a piston? What is a cylinder? Where does it go to? But he knew everything. So now when he goes back, he becomes even more effective than what I was, because he knew and he understood. You get me? So that's the problem. So now having to take the theory, put it into the practical, can become very difficult, especially if you were cramming. It becomes very, very difficult because the truth is they are totally different stuff.
I want you now to start talking. I think what you're saying is so true. I think I've covered it. I've covered it a lot with some of the previous guests that I had. That I've noticed that there's a big transition. For example, I don't know what softwares do you use in mechanical engineering, which you feel like there should have been a standard for the industry. For example, you guys, at least you had the privilege of using AutoCAD.
AutoCAD, yeah.
So with us, I had to learn AutoCAD when I got to work.
Yeah.
But you realize that AutoCAD is actually a standard. Like
For
if you
almost
don't,
everywhere,
everywhere you go, it's like a standard. Right now, at least they're starting to bring in Revit and all these other different things. So what you're saying is true to say that that transition between Varsity and thing is very much important. And I think it will be nice to employ companies to bring students during holidays.
Exactly.
Students shouldn't be going home in June and December. What are they going to do? At least they must stay there in June. A student should actually sit down, find which company they want to or industry they want to work with. And if you have to be specific with the company, look for a company.
Exactly.
Because that makes it easier for you to, when you get to what do you call this? To the industry. When you get there, you're already productive for the company.
Yes.
And I think this thing of internship graduation, it doesn't work because it's a contract. They keep you there for a year, and you just get all whatever depending on how you work. But some of them actually they're just running away from actually paying people.
No, the thing is, remember with the interns, they get the they get
Setter.
They get a percentage company. So for them, it's also making money. They wouldn't just take students for nothing. And be not disturbed. The truth is, every company employing a graduate without experience, it's a risk to them.
True.
So they are actually taking a risk employing you. And the truth is, an average person takes 2 to 3 years to understand what the company is all about. And it takes you 4 to 5 years, especially if it's a big company, to start making profit for the company. So in all these years, the company is investing a lot in you before you even start making money for them.
Then
so it's a risk for the company.
What's the best way to mitigate that?
So the best way to mitigate is that what you were just saying, to say
students
we need to have the ability to first go there, learn, whether you're learning for money or whatever, but you're learning as much as you can. So by the time you go there, I already know that they need to use SAP. SAP is a standard that has been used almost in every company in South Africa.
Sure.
Why don't they bring SAP into the university? At least show the basics. This is what SAP does. This is what... Now you go to university to work, you need to understand, what is SAP? Where does it come from? Is it in a private thing? You get me?
Sure.
But if you already have all of those knowledges,
the background,
it's very easier. If now I know that where I'm going to work, I'll be working with valves, I'll be working with gaskets, I'll be working with... When I go in to school now, when I do my design, I focus even more on that and I have a clear understanding.
Sure.
If I'm working with fluids, I need to know that there's laminar flow, there's turbulent flow. What causes laminar flow? What is the benefits of having laminar?
Sure.
What is the benefits of having turbulent flow? When I go back to the thing, I know that in a pipe I need to have this because it becomes easier for you.
Sure.
But now I'm already having my master's, or I have your BTech, whatever you have, and you're going in, they're telling you laminar. Like, hey, I did this thing in fluids in second year, man.
It's so long back, eh?
Yeah, you're like, hey,
you
I
can't
did this thing in
remember,
second year. What really happens? Now you want to go back and start reading again to say about it. And they're like, this thing is, and the most painful thing about it is that there you're losing money or you're killing people. It's money. It's money you're killing people.
Yeah, because
it's not Varsity where you
it's
just
your
make
design.
trials.
Yeah, sure.
There you are making money or you're killing people, which is very dangerous. So that's where now you have to be on your toes.
I like you bringing that conversation because some of the times I don't know how hectic being a doctor is.
Yeah.
Because with us we can cost the company a lot of money if you expect a smaller generator or transformer and it doesn't power it's stripping everything off. You understand what I mean? But for bringing the conversation of either you're making the company lose money or you're killing people.
Someone, yes.
And literally that's what's happening.
Especially in engineering, you kill people.
And you see what you're saying, right? It's very sensitive because sometimes we actually run away from things like being a doctor, thinking that when you're doing engineering, you won't be doing things which will require you to to trust the design that you have already made.
Exactly. So
I feel like that's something that it needs to be also incorporated. That when you're working, the system needs you. If Elon Musk is building a space rocket which is going up, it must not blow. It must be able to go up, do whatever that is doing, come back with the people being safe. It's like having a car which the wheel always comes out. You understand what I mean?
Yeah,
so I think that's something that schools, they don't really even know about that in terms of what you're doing is very much important.
Or even invest in making sure that students are aware of that, That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
Because like I said, the cramming system, Bandeka, it's what has been really destroying, especially our black people. We don't want to invest in the knowledge and the understanding of it. We just want to cram everything. We just want to cram. Literally every time, want to cram. As long as they say we must get 50. I look at 50, that's it. The rest is for tomorrow.
Even when you're writing an exam, you think.
But now, guess what? The doctors, that's why they do their doctor. They don't get their certificate after 7 years. They do a lot of practicals. Because they think that this is a matter of life and death.
Sure.
You can't just become a doctor. You do practicals, spend this amount of time doing this, and they monitor it because it's very much crucial. And they become strict also into giving their exams and everything. We also work with critical things, just that ours is not immediate. It comes a little bit around. Because now imagine, like you said, with a car. Imagine now you're an engineer building a car, and you only leave one screw in an engine block. Then the guy is driving, the engine block goes down, the car spins. Now you're hitting 3, 4, 5, 6 cars.
Sure.
People are dying. Just because you were neglected of leaving one screw in. Or at least you didn't understand that if this thing goes to this amount of force, something will break.
Sure.
You get me? So those things are things that I would trying to say. When a company invests you, if BM takes you, if Airlink or whatever aircraft takes you, Rolls-Royce employ you, they are taking a risk in that. But you need to have the ability to say, it's either I want to learn and grow in that and take the risks also.
Sure.
Which is easier to take the risk when you're still learning.
Which is true.
When you're already coming up, at least you know that this doesn't work, this works. But us, we're not given the opportunity to take the risks most of the time. That's what always pushes us back. And guess what? We don't do decisions. We don't do bold decisions. Now we can't move into making those criticisms. I want to open my own company. I trust this thing will work. You will not do it.
Which comes back to the reason that why we can't really open companies.
Exactly.
Because you're not confident with what you're doing.
What
Bringing in things like EXA. Because when you become a professional engineer, that means whatever you design, you sign for it.
You need to sign for it.
I sign for it.
I agree to it.
I agree that whatever that has been spec'd there is going to work. So I think this is just a learning curve for. I think the conversation we are just having now, the second part of our conversation is it helps both professional workers and also varsity students. I think the first time we're just maybe doing a transition for a learner.
Yeah, to that.
And then now maybe getting into your first time when you started lecturing with the stuff that we're talking about.
Going back. Okay. Yeah.
Because you see, now you've graduated and all the stuff. Now you're starting your job. I think with that, you have done many jobs, but I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah,
I just
I did a lot of jobs.
Yeah,
so just lecturing.
Yeah, how was it like being a lecturer back in the same school that you were in?
So lecturing was actually. I think I enjoyed lecturing, to be honest. I won't lie. It was quite nice.
I think you would.
And mostly given that I think I talk too much. I think in a way they say that. I don't think I talk too much. But one thing that lecturing taught me. So guess what? So I was given my lecture and I was supposed to lecture fluids. So I was given the outline.
School, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was given the outline.
Sure.
Okay, you need to go lecture about this. Something which I did already. And by the way, I passed fluid by I think like 58 or 62, somewhere there. So I was not really good at it. I didn't even recognize it as one of the subjects I would want to relate to. Now I have to lecture it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So first day, I'm very nervous. I'm like, oof, I'm going to stand in front of people. How do I do it? Then this lecturer who was very close to me said, no, it's fine. I can do it for you. Maybe on the first day you get there, I'll introduce you to the people. Then I'll show you how I do it. Then you can copy me. Then one of the guys that brought me into lecture and said, I don't think that's a good idea, because the problem now the students will compare you with this senior person who's been doing it for so long. You come in with your own style. She can introduce you. You come in with your own style. You do what you think is going to work for you, then that's it. As long as you cover what you have to cover.
Sure.
So don't allow. But that was literally having to take a deep dive.
Yeah,
I was like,
thrown in the deep end.
Yeah. I was like, ooh, my man. Because I've never. So I was like, okay, cool, let me do it. I said, no, it's fine. I'll do it. Allow me to just go there.
Sure.
I'll do it in my own style, in my own way. So the first day was quite hectic, Now I had to go there and I start, okay, lectures, okay, students, whoever, everybody sit down, whatever.
And then now the thing is, you're also working with students who have failed that subject.
Who have failed.
And they're used to the previous
And
lecture.
guess what? I'm actually lecturing someone I started university with. No, like literally. We did first year together. And now I'm lecturing him.
Wow.
And that guy,
How was that like?
I think he was more shy than me.
Yeah, I mean, it's very weird.
Yeah. He was more shy than me.
Sure.
He was really more shy than me. But
Sure.
anyway, I think that was good. But what that taught me is preparation. Because guess what? I had to prepare a lot for me to give a 30 minutes or 40 minutes lecture. I had to prepare a lot. I had to go through examples, just for 3 examples. Why? Because I can't look like a fool. They can ask me a question and I don't know an answer. I'm supposed to be a lecturer. I'm supposed to know this thing in and out. Whether a junior lecturer or not, they don't care.
Sure.
But I need to know. So guess what? I was spending hours and hours and hours trying to understand, prepare, making sure because now it's a presentation. You need to give this thing like you live it, you're breathing it. And one day I was like, no, man. If I did this when I was still a student, I was going to pass this thing, man.
It was going to be easy, yeah.
Because
Sure.
when I was doing lecturing, when I was preparing for I was not cramming. I was fighting to understand. So
Sure.
Any question that comes, I have an understanding of it, not really a cramming side of it.
Sure.
Because they can ask something which is not from what you prepared.
Yeah.
But you need to bring them back so that they understand. So I was studying to a point of where I wanted to understand not to cram.
Sure.
I was like, if I was a student and I studied this way, I was going to get A's, man. This
Sure,
was so simple.
sure.
So that's when I actually heard you say, no, if people would, or students would study to understand, they would not fail. Trust me, they will not fail.
And then how was it like dealing with students?
Students.
From being a student yourself, how was it like?
I think I was blessed to have students who were very good, I would say. You notice that you always scare them with the point of marks.
You do it?
You scare them with the point of saying, okay, I will not mark this for you or I won't do this for you.
Oh, okay, sure.
Those people are adults. They're not young children. And you yourself have to show to be a bit strict for them to listen to you.
Sure.
So me being harsh or strict to myself, so then that brought in a level of having to calm everybody down. Because they were all old and there were people who had failed, mind you.
Sure.
I was not dealing with new people. I was dealing with people who had failed previously.
Previously. Okay,
so
sure.
What really helped me was in the mornings, every time if I feel like people would not be understanding, I'd come up with a small teaching and nugget. People always want to feel trust and see that you are smart before they can trust you.
Oh, okay.
So I'd go there, I'd say something which would be like, oh, wow.
So teaching, you mean you come with something inspirational?
Something inspirational, yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
Like I would just come and say, how was water formed or how was whatever formed? Have you ever thought of this? Have you ever thought that if you do this and do this and do this, this would work? Oh, yeah. You get me? So now you grab their attention. Now
Sure.
then you have a way of where you're going. You hit them with that nice inspirational talk. After that, you get to your point where you're trying to say, guys, I want you to pass. I want you to do better. At least focus. When I'm teaching, listen, pay attention, do your homeworks, do this.
Sure.
Then we're going to work.
So which means, did that relate to you having more people who are passing your
Definitely.
stuff?
Yeah, I think I got my first semester when I was lecturing, I only got, if I'm not mistaken, 6 or 7 people that failed
Out of
98.
So you were, so which means you were in 100%.
Almost
90s,
90s,
yeah.
90s, yeah, pass rate.
No, that's
Which was
actually
quite
very good.
Which
And then
was
how
good, yeah.
does it work as a lecturer? Do they tell you that how many students should pass or how many students should fail?
No, they don't tell you how many students should pass, but they just check how you
moderate
Maybe
yourself.
maybe in good students, but in CBUT, my friend, they do try and moderate. But the good thing about it is that I was setting the exams, but with the senior. So she was the one doing most of the stuff. So she would sign it off and everything, and say this is prepared, and then they give it out. And I was trying to push out the guys who were doing national diploma, because we were bringing in the advanced.
The advanced.
So I was pushing that last group.
Sure.
So originally we wanted everybody to go out. So they told me everything, make the mini exams or the homework to be a bit simple so that everybody can
just push them out.
But then there's always those dumb ones which just
still, they were not studying. Yeah, sure.
Failed. So
no, it's so interesting what you're saying, because these people are being swept into the companies, and then
exactly.
Exactly.
So now we stay with the same problem. Now we have companies who are not doing good because they hired someone who was not competent.
I was actually talking to someone who was a teacher. She was saying, you imagine having 28% as a passing mark. How do we? Because it's like all the systems that they're just pushing people. Like, okay, let's push them to varsity.
Exactly.
And then varsity people say, no, let's push them to work.
To complete.
And now we have two problems. We have people who have graduates and they don't have jobs. And those who have jobs are still not doing well in their jobs.
Wait, thinking about it, isn't that why we have a whole lot of high rate of people who are graduated and we have few jobs?
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe that's why, because people have just been pushed out.
Yes.
Not most people really qualify to.
And the other thing is, besides the government not doing well, because of the people who have been pushed, because there's no one who's applying their minds.
Yeah.
The people who are in government, they're not applying their minds. They're just being pushed by the same system, and then they're giving us this. So that's why the country at the moment, it's in the state that it is, where everything is just chaos. But we need to get people who have good minds, sharp minds, who are applying themselves and making sure that they're becoming excellent in whatever that they're doing.
You know, I always try and say this. There's this course called, is it called electronic? What do you call it? Electronical. What do you call it? This course, man. One for aircrafts.
Hey.
Okay, I'll get it. Fact checker. Check for us then.
I need a fact checker.
Fact checker yet. Okay, we'll get a fact checker, guys. Aeronautical.
Oh, aeronautical. Okay.
Aeronautical. Yeah.
Okay.
Those subjects, those courses, they have a very high. If we're a fact checker, they will check for it. They have a very high rate of pass that you need to be. So an average person that gets 80 cannot go to that course.
Oh,
that's 80%.
Sure.
You can't go. You're still low. So that time I say we need people with sharp minds that we can. So they're probably looking at your 90s, your 100s. Those are the guys they're looking for. So guess if we could push all our educational system to say, let's increase the pass rate to say, instead of like I saying 28, let's say for maths, every whatever you need to at least have 80% for you to be in engineering.
I think
you need to have this.
Yeah.
What that does, it flushes away everybody who's not for that course or who doesn't have. Because let me tell you the truth. What I've noticed, engineering is a mindset.
Okay.
It's not about the course. Yourself, you did electrical, you did mechanical. They're just trying to install a certain mindset in us.
I'm following now. Yes.
To say, as an engineer, you think like this.
Sure.
So they're installing a certain mindset in which you need to view at things. That's why majority of people who fail, they're trying to say, I can't view this thing in this way.
Sure.
So therefore, I cannot be an engineer. Not that engineering is difficult. You just can't view the concepts of life in this. That's why it's easier for you to notice. You can easily solve problems without even being told or something, because your mindset has been channeled to a way of thinking in a different way.
Sure.
But now, all people are being channeled to think in a very shallow way, and they're being given credit for it. So people can't think hard. People can't think smartly. They feel like their small thinking can be rewarded. People can't still even develop a small app that's a 12-year-old is doing in China without a problem. And it goes viral. But we are failing. Why? Because our minds have not been sharpened or trained to think in a certain way, which is basically what education system is, right?
Sure.
Because it's just a matter of training your mind
Yes.
to think in this way. So that is what you're saying is very true, and I agree with it. We have to change this system of how we give the pass rates or whatever, because this is what is throwing South Africa into a ditch hole. We can't still be saying maths pass rate of maths is 28 or 30 at high school. That's wrong.
Yeah.
Where are we taking that chart?
I think what you're saying. I just got an epiphany now, which is the problem that our systems they've trusted education only without neglecting things like agriculture, sports,
Exactly.
arts.
Exactly.
Because yes, we do like some form of arts in life orient. Because the only time we do arts is in a life orientation when you're dancing or singing or whatever. But
playing
that's
PE.
exactly, you understand what I mean? That's the best thing that you can do in terms of arts. So which means the schooling system there is no, because in other schools in different countries they actually have music school.
Exactly.
They have sports. Because with us we do have the running around and all the stuff, but it's not really trained in a sense.
Yeah.
Because you see, with American, I know because we consume. I only know this because I consume American stuff. They talk about getting bursaries via the school whatever.
Yeah,
we are not. To go. Yes, we're not doing that with us because at least we would have had proper Olympics who are just okay. From here, we realize that okay, this guy from this school is doing so well. Let's push him into the Olympics, and then it's going to be a very good thing. So our system already, it's forcing us to become third world. We can't really even we can't really improve from it because even the people who are already there, they are not even growing up to become sharp.
Kind of thing. Yeah, because all our leaders are old fighters who are fighting for freedom. in the struggle
Congolese.
People. They got the freedom, but they don't even know what it is. Because whatever they were doing, that's like an old generation. It can't lead us to anywhere, especially if they were not educated. You notice that an average politician who's sitting there doesn't even have a proper degree, which, like I said, degree is just a matter of understanding to say how you view things. Yeah. And I like how you have actually put it to say we need to come to a point where we need to recognize talent and channels in which the children or our people needs to move in. It's not always about having to move to engineering, medical, or no. There's other fields which can develop the country. There's other fields which can make us great. Because anyways, thinking about we had Elon Musk, who was a good engineer. What did we do with him? We sold him. We sold him to America.
To America, yeah.
He came here. We had Trevor Noah. At least Trevor Noah paved his own way. But guess what? We still couldn't recognize his talent. That he had to go somewhere else so that his talent can be recognized.
Sure.
That's how bad we are. We can't recognize things and develop them.
I mean, there's a lot of examples like what you're saying. So I think maybe to bring it back, to now you're done as a lecturer, and you have worked with students and all those stuff. Then you start working in a can I call it a big company? Yes, it's a big company. Yes, it's a big company now, right?
With the leading in our industry.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, that's so beautiful. So you work in a big company. For this conversation, what I want to get out is how to get into a company, see all the big changes, adjust yourself, and like start learning from them. Because I think there's things that you have said when we were talking before, and I was like, yeah, this is actually very nice. Someone can actually take some of the stuff that you're doing there and actually employ it in their work, especially in the engineering side of things. Yeah.
Well, most definitely. So when I joined my company, like my company is massive. For me to do change, it's almost like a drop of water in an ocean. It's really big, and even us as South African in our market, we call ourselves market, compared to the global, we're very small. We also a drop in an ocean. Okay. So notice where I'm sitting now. I'm almost very low on the food chain. Get me? I'm very, very, very low on the food chain. Yeah. But one thing that I think would help me or can actually help all the the young people when they leave, Varsity. Going to industry, it's a big step on its own.
Yeah.
But one thing I told myself was that I want to learn as much as I can, as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And don't feel like you can never bring any ideas. No, it's not possible. You can. Your ability to want to work, your ability to want to learn, is always the one that your line manager or the person you're reporting to can see it and can always open doors for you to say, no, this person can actually do this. That's when I actually noticed to say, I don't even want to do this, that I want to go more to management roles and everything. Because I feel that that's more what I like to do, you get me? But when I go there, they expose me to almost the whole company, what we do, what is it that we do as a company, what is it that we want to achieve as a company. Then I had to choose. I said, no, man, I think from here, they are placing me here. What can I do with this small cycle that I'm in?
Yeah.
Whenever they would give me work, I wouldn't take 3 weeks to deliver the results. I would do it as quick as possible. I would learn because there's a lot of materials that are available. Like I said, it's a big company.
Yeah.
There's a lot of materials available. So I would consume as much materials as I can so that I can equip myself. Because guess what? The first 2, 3 I joined the company in December when everybody was about to go home. First 1 month, 2 months, I would just go sit in a meeting room, my man. They will be speaking. You come out like you didn't even enter the meeting. Like literally, because everything they're saying is foreign to you. It's literally foreign.
Sure.
You don't even understand. You don't even know. They're speaking this lingo, this everything like, okay, I don't even understand what you guys are talking about. You get me? But when you do that, I noticed that there's a lot that I have to do. So guess what? I had to go do a lot of work in the background or at home alone so that I can keep up the pace. So say, okay, now when I sit in a meeting, at least when they say this, I can have an idea of what they're saying. At least when they have this conversation, I have an idea of what they're talking about. Once you do that, then your line manager can see, oh, okay, no, cool. This guy at least has, because it's also like they don't know that they understand that you're new.
Yes,
and you are really, you don't know much because you're coming from university. Like I said, it's a food and beverage.
Yeah.
It's actually outside of what I was already doing. But when they see that and they see the willingness to do and they see you trying to come up with just small changes of what even they are wrong or right, but they still don't cool. This is the right person that we need. So that is very much crucial. But something is very dangerous. You can always sit down and relax in such a company, especially if you get a permanent job. You can get there and relax because you can say there's nothing much I can do. Whatever they'll give me, I'll just do it. Then that's it. But you notice that you won't be able to grow.
Okay. So which means when you got there, you realized, okay, I don't know a lot. And then you're like, okay, now I need to apply myself.
Yes.
Whatever that we're talking, whether in meetings or whatever job that they're giving you, you're applying yourself, you're making sure that you understand what's happening. Then you actually go study. So the materials that you're getting, because I think with different companies it's different. So what kind of stuff were you looking at? Maybe if we were to generalize, if we can. So
the thing is, like I said, my company is big. We have our own portal. We've got everything. So material that I was studying is what the company provides for assistance.
Oh, I see.
Basically, they would say, they got there, they were speaking about heat exchangers. I did heat exchanger in thermodynamics somewhere one day, somewhere in university. But I forgot the whole of that thing, you get me?
Sure.
We're speaking about valves. Hey, I know what's a valve, Because even now, if I ask someone, a general university student, what is a valve? They will tell you something very odd. What is a valve? You get me? Like, okay.
Sure.
You don't understand. Basically, a tap is a valve on its own. But for me, it never occurred to say a tap is a valve. Because I didn't understand what a valve was.
Sure.
When I was in varsity, I was just screaming, like we said. So now, when they're speaking about those valves, they're speaking about heat exchangers, separators, deaerator, filling machine, sterilizer. I'm like, okay, what is all this? So now I had to go now. Whenever they say, I had a book, whenever they say a word that you didn't know, I would write it down. Out of that, I'll go and search in our portal. Sterilizer, then they will give you whatever sterilizer is this. Then there's different type of sterilizers, this one and this one and this. Definitely, even now I still don't know everything, but I'm still learning as I'm going.
Sure.
This sterilizer, this, it does this. Okay, what is the UHT? UHT. Okay, this is a UHT. It does this. It means this. There's a whole dairy book they gave me. They said it's a Bible. I must read that Bible.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bonnie, this is your Bible. You need to know all of this before you can say you understand Tetra Pak.
Sure.
So it's quite massive.
Sure.
So now I had to go through. So whenever I didn't understand something, I'd go to that Bible and read, oh, this is a UHT. So this is how the whole process goes. Even still understanding the process itself, you will still need to go and do it practically to have a more clear understanding.
Sure.
And, okay, what is CIP? What is AIC? So all those abbreviations, I had to write them down so that I familiarize myself with it. So that next time I sit in a meeting and they're having that conversation and they say CIP, I know what it means at least.
Okay.
Now I just have to join to say what are they saying about
So you
CIP?
can just linking up
Just linking
information.
up exactly.
Sure.
Now I become better when I do that.
And then did you use the strategy of looking at past projects and just looking at how the process was done and all those stuff?
Yes, definitely. No, that you have to do. So we've got something at work which we call best practice.
Okay.
So best practice. So basically, it's like Mercedes-Benz. When they do a car, they don't normally bring new things. When they're bringing a new car is when it's a new facelift, then they just change maybe the bumper, they change something as a 3 Series, then
Sure.
2020, whatever, there's a new facelift, they change. But most of the stuff remain the same because those are the things that makes you to become Mercedes-Benz.
The Mercedes-Benz, okay.
Exactly. So those are the best practice. So there are practices that they tell you, okay, cool, when you're doing this is the base standard. But now remember, this is not the alpha and omega. It's a base standard. Depending on what the customer is asking, then you can therefore modify this.
Oh, I see.
But the danger comes in you not understanding this. So now you can modify it according to how they want it.
Okay.
But at least they give you a stepping stone to say, this is at least something you
This is how it should work.
At least you use this. You can start here. Then you need to understand, okay, no, this works here. This works like this. Okay. Then when you're doing that, the good thing about it is like, you actually get to learn as you're doing it. Not, okay, because of this, they'd use this valve. But for this application, that someone was doing milk, but now they want to do custard. You can still do the same. Totally different things. So for this custard, because of the properties, which is where chemical engineering comes in, because the properties of custard, when you heat it and you cool it, it does this. You need to use a certain different type of valve. So now when you're doing that, that's when you get to understand what to change, what to remove, what to put in.
That's where experience comes in.
That is where, not necessarily experience, but you get to learn. Experience comes...
So is it knowledge?
It's knowledge. Experience definitely comes in those quick, doing big, I haven't done massive projects.
Okay.
That's when they literally ask you, and it comes in the field work most of the time. Because the truth, let me tell you the truth, experience will help you in at least knowing something because you've done a varieties of them over the certain period of time.
Sure.
That's what it helps you in. So when I come, I've only done this, so I only know this. So if this new thing come, I've never seen it before, so I need to go and relate. But then now my experiences is growing like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really mean that I can't do whatever that guy is doing, I can do it. It's just that he has faced almost the same problem previously.
And he knows how
now,
to mitigate the
now
problem.
Now he knows how to mitigate the problem.
Sure.
Then it becomes that easier.
Which is basically engineering at the end of the day.
That is exactly what engineering is.
So I think most industry are like that because even if you're a doctor, probably you're gonna get a different case of
every time. Exactly.
Even lawyers,
exactly.
They have to study old cases and check how would they solved and they come back. I think in a sense it comes back to the same thing that the more you work on something, the more you have experience on it.
Yeah.
So imagine if you're a student, you're listening to this podcast. The moment you become a first year, the first advice that we'll give you, as us, the old crocs.
We are very old, yeah.
So if we're trying to give you advice is, and all these things, the reason why we're doing this as well, as the podcast is just trying to educate as many people in terms of what's happening in the industry. So that the moment when they get there, someone who is going to listen to this podcast is someone who's going to say, okay, I think these guys, they've thrown some really nice gems. And the moment they start doing those things, they'll become a very good, reliant person, whether it be as an employee or as an employer.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's the reason why I'm having this podcast as well. At least we can document as many people who are working so that the moment we get into if let me give an example, they come exactly to what you're doing. As I don't know, what do you do? Because most of the time I ask people.
I'm a process engineer.
Process engineer.
But so my role is process engineer.
Okay.
But I function more as the project engineer.
Oh, I see.
So that's why I said I want to move more into management.
Management, okay.
When you do what I do, you notice that it's more management than technical.
Sure.
So there's a guy who sits and do technical, but I'm more on the management side. I manage. This is where I manage people, and I always say the job, it's not difficult. It's the people who are difficult.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, for engineers, because you are in the food industry. For us who are in the building industry, the fact that you can have different disciplines, whether it be mechanical engineering or doing the aircons, and then the electricals who are doing electrical work, and you got the architects, and you got all this stuff is different people, and you need to be able to manage all this stuff.
And the good thing about it, which I said, that's why I said, all the whole engineering. With my field of work, I get to work with all of the engineering, almost all of the engineering disciplines in one. Because we get to do, if I go to site, I can hire an electrical guy, depending on what the agreement is with the customer. I can hire a civil engineering guy. I can hire a mechanical engineering guy, mechanical engineering guy. These are guys who are doing your weldings and your cutting and everything. Those are them. So when we are sitting, we call them mechanical guys. You get me?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes,
you get me? Yeah. So I can hire all of those guys, and I need to have an understanding of what they have to do. I don't have to be an expert in it, but I need to have a clear view of understanding of at least what basic they have to do. So I go now, like I said, I do more site management. I go there, I know, okay, cool, I need a mechanical engineering guy. I need to understand welding. So if they weld the pipe and it's not good, I use a boroscope, which is just to check the pipe welding. Then I can use that, and I can tell the guy who's been welding for years that this is a wrong weld.
Yeah,
even though I've not been welding. Even if I've never welded for a single day. You get me?
I
so
see,
now, and then if a guy does electrical, he needs to understand to say, you've got a power cable, you've got a signal cable. You don't put them together because they're going to interfere. You need to have a screened cable because you're sending in communication. So if your power cable is going to interfere with that. So the guy might not understand that, but because I work with my machines, I know my machine, I can advise him and tell him how to do it properly. You get me? So that's when I come in with my managerial side and just to assist that, but they do the work. That's what I said. I want to move more into management, learn more, even if I go up, maybe I want to do management courses and everything, so that I build myself up in that managerial role, because that's what I'll be doing. So I won't be doing the technical side of it. So I won't be sitting down trying to design the technical side of this. Someone does it for me, they bring it to me, it's done. It should work this way. Then I say, okay, cool. And I take it on and make it work.
No, I think it's beautiful. I'm actually realizing now that I think the next time I want to stop it here, so that at least when we get to the next,
it's been long, eh?
Yes, been long time. So when we get to the next podcast we do together, at least we can just get deeper into the engineering side
we can
of
do
things.
That. We can do that.
Because I think right now it was more of trying to assist those who are coming up,
high school, university,
so that they can get to varsity. And then when we do another one, I think sometime next year. I think the best thing will be March. Yeah, hopefully you'll be in the country. Then
hopefully.
Then we'll talk about the traveling and all the other stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's actually a lot for us to. I mean, like, if you check, we have not even touched the things that probably we wanted to.
There's a lot. There's a lot to speak about.
So, Bonie is a dear friend of mine who we are fortunate enough to be in the same vicinity, doing most of the things together. So at least I can always get him in the next podcast. And then I would like to thank my sponsors. That's Akwele. So they actually have a new. Both me and Bonie were actually having the same flavor. I don't know if you want to try the other one as well.
Yeah, why not?
And
it's actually good. I won't lie. What's up? A big shout out to Akwele. Hey.
Yeah. So they actually have a new line of products. So it's called Akwele Vive Hydration. So they have like the sports drink. So it has like different flavors.
Yeah,
So
quite
there's pine berry, there's Greek garden fruit, there's
What is it?
the guarana.
Guarana.
They have guarana. I think the last one, the color. Let me just check it. That one, yes.
This is the flavored drink calamanas. Oh, calamanas.
Calamansi. So I think what I've just liked about it is, first of all, I think we should start. I think when you hold it like this, can you see it like it literally
It
fits in the hand.
Feels good. Yeah, it fits
I think
in the
this is a very genius idea because it just fits in the hand. And literally, if you see most of the time when sportsmen are like
they're running,
they're tired. You just grab it and you just squeeze it inside your mouth.
Yes.
I think that's so nice. And I think the one that I've just tried now, which is the garden fruit, I actually like it.
I think it's actually nice. The garden fruit is very nice.
Yeah,
I
it's so
like this one.
relaxed, and they say that it is high in vitamins B3, B5, B7, and B12, and then it said it's added electrolytes.
Okay.
It looks like a very good product.
It's a good drink. To be
Yeah.
honest,
So usually when you go out there, I know most people when they get to the garages, they always like getting something which doesn't have too much caffeine, but at least it's an energy drink. So I think this will be the best thing that you can get for yourself.
Yeah, Akwele, hydrate, eh?
Yeah.
Hydrate yourself, guys. Keep hydrated. It's summer. So make sure you get yourself an Akwele Vive.
Vive, yeah.
The Vive or Vive?
It's VIV.
VIV.
So I think Vive is coming from revive. I see
Yeah.
here they say that it revive with added electrolytes.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, drink water. Water is very much important. So they actually have this in water as well behind you there. Can you see the blue one? Yes. So it's the same packaging, but just different flavors. So if you want water, but I think I like the genius idea of the holding thing. It's
I really like the packaging.
It's really amazing. And the other thing that I actually noticed there is you can actually tear off this and you recycle.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's actually very beautiful. And they say there's no colorants as well. Yeah. So, man, thank you so much, Akwele. Go get yourself an Akwele.
Thank you so much, Dick, for calling us. Yeah, I was telling him I need to come in and be his co-host. So, I think when I get time and if I'm around the country, why not? So we should.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are just a few people that I can easily add them and become a friend of the podcast, if you can say it like that. And then at least we can always share ideas. And I like the fact that actually in this podcast we actually shared more ideas than actually just talking about what people do and all the stuff. And it's at least we just it's so refreshing as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think for everyone who's listening, I'm just gonna stop it here, and I'm gonna have Bonie next time, and we're gonna get into the deep side of engineering, bills of material, of bill of quantity, going to marriage.
Probably not. I'm not the right person.
I'm actually gonna have Pastor Walter back again.
Yeah.
So that at least he can talk on some of the stuff on marriage. But if you're listening to this, thank you very much for getting to this far. You guys have a wonderful night. Cheers. Or is there anything that you want to say in general? Maybe advice or encourage someone?
Thank you so much for having me. I think, like I said, it's an honor. And students, it's quite a lot that you guys have to do. So do get the right advices and you'll come all right, to be honest. Get mentors that can lead you and guide you all the way. You're not on this alone. We are here in this podcast. You can listen to us. You always get nuggets and you can always reach out to us. You never know. We can maybe even come to you and help you out. So, that's all. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.